Well, blow my bloomers and milk my mammos. The government has actually come up with a good idea for once. I'm feeling woozy. Welcome back to the bit of truth for a Saturday. Let's just hope the government hasn't ruined it for you yet. Now, speaking of the government, like I said, I actually think that they're onto something here. Though, knowing them, like any other idea, it'll probably just stay as that. Lefty snowflakes are furious at Mourdant over plans to bring back national service. Yes, Miss Moneypenny Mourdant is pissing off the lefties today. God, they hate logic, don't they? Anyway, she has plans to reintroduce national service back into Britain. I agree with this 1,000,000%. A lot of little shits today could do with learning some discipline, some respect, and the ability to grow up without thinking you know everything. Does anyone remember the TV show Bad Lads Army? If you don't, I suggest you go and look for it. It was one of my favourite shows growing up. Now, in other people that need to learn some respect are trans activists. You remember that trans activist who said to punch any TERF in the face and in front of the police? Well, it's now been cleared of encouraging people to break the law. Yes, it seems like it's perfectly okay to incite violence in front of the police as long as you're on the left. Imagine someone on the right to a crowd of people saying, if you see any men in a woman's bathroom, punch them in the face. They would be locked up quicker than you can lop it off.
That is correct!
Now, speaking of lopping bits off, ACLU sues the state of Indiana for refusing to spend taxpayer money on a transformation for a worse-than oxygen thief prisoner. I am not even going to repeat the crimes of this absolute cannot. So a new law back in July in Indiana was brought in for the Department of Corrections to prohibit using taxpayer cash for reassignment surgeries. Now the ACLU, the anti-cognitive lefty unicorns, we call them, is now suing under an apparent violation of the 8th Amendment of cruel and unusual punishment. Now I would have thought that doing this to someone would be an act of cruel and unusual punishment. But I just don't get it. Serves me for having rational thoughts.
No, you're right.
Now, speaking of medical topics, both junior doctors and consultants will hold 4 days of strike from September together. Oh, here we go again. Did August just run out of days? Yes, let's keep pushing it into September and October in order to really teach us a lesson. 6 figures and still among the top paid doctors in the world, yet that's still not good enough. Well, you know what's also not good enough? The waiting list to actually see one of you guys. I'm really starting to believe that we should just get rid of the NHS and go private. And you want to know why? Because they run them as a business. They don't waste hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of our money on woke diversity officers or art directors. Someone needs to take over this and run it as a proper business, get those lot back to work, and if they don't show up, don't bother coming back in.
Dismissed.
Now, speaking of money, here's an interesting one. A begging gang rakes in £500 a day by posing as homeless people. Yes, in the posh city of Bath filled with gullible tourists, a gang who travel by Mercedes with near identical signs take it in turns to occupy prime locations in the city in order to swindle your cash. After finishing their 8-hour shift of begging, they all head home to a council block in Bristol just 12 miles away. You know what really pisses me off about this? Not the fact that this is an organised crime group, not the fact that they're illegals, not the fact that they have free council houses to go home to, but the fact that these lowlifes are taking away money from people who could actually need it. I don't give to homeless people, not anymore. And it's exactly because of reasons like this. The last time I tried, I didn't have any cash on me. I asked the gentleman if he wanted me to buy him a sandwich or a coffee, and he said no, he just wanted cash.
Right, then.
Now, speaking of people that don't belong here, a uni student slams her housing provider for leaving her with just 2 weeks to find a new place to live after terminating her contract for Asylum Seekers. Brilliant! So now tourists can't stay in hotels, homeless Brits can't get council houses, the military can't stay at their barracks, and now students can't stay near their own campuses. When is enough going to be enough? When every single building in the UK is filled up? When we're so badly outnumbered we have to change our flag? This is just another waste of our money being used on other people to remove us from the places we deserve. This will come back and bite us on the arse. But what do we know? We only have to live next to them, not you government officials.
House is a fucking prison!
Now, speaking of the government and wasted money, the government has told 104 schools to close their buildings due to crumbling concrete that could collapse without warning. Well, brilliant. Another 10 out of 10 for a first world country. I guess we don't have any money to fix this either. I wonder where all the money is going. Well done. More kids not going back to school so they can roam the streets and cause chaos. Someone ought to put them in national service.
Yeah, you can say that again.
And my final told you so moment of today. Canary Island officials beg their residents to lose their tourismophobia to avoid losing holidaymakers. Well, there you go. Keep pissing people off who are bringing in a lot of money, then we just won't go. From weird fines to hostile natives, we don't want any of that drama when we've saved up all year just to get away for a couple of days. I said weeks ago when I reported on stories like this, just go somewhere else. I said that they'd be begging for us to come back. Well, I was right, as usual.
You're a smart motherfucker, that's right.
Now, speaking of right, what have we learned today? The government is actually onto a good idea for once. If you're on the left, you can incite violence and get away with it. Doctors are still striking. Beggars make more than you. And the government is still wasting our money. Signing out.